Hi, in this video we're going to talk about consent, and we're going to start kind of as a hard and fast rule of enthusiastic consent, and then we're going to work our way towards the areas of consent that require more nuance. So the first thing is we want to start off with enthusiastic consent. If you do acroyoga with someone else, they should be fully signed up to do whatever you're going to do together. It should be enthusiastic. Like a maybe or later doesn't mean they're enthusiastic about it. Right, like in class you're kind of assigned, but there's still consent. Like if you do not want to do something, or you don't want to do something with a certain person, you can opt out. And if you're like at a jam or like you're practicing, you want to kind of approach someone with kind of like an idea of what you want to do and get the consent. Be like, hey, would you like to practice candlestick with me? And then like if your response is like, oh yeah, you go ahead and do it. The next part of consent is that consent should be informed. Like if I go up to you and I'm like, oh, let's just do some acroyoga. You don't really know where you're getting in with. And especially like if you don't know each other, you don't really know my background, you really don't have information to give informed consent. So when I meet new people, a lot of times you might have like a short conversation like, how long have you been doing acroyoga? Or like, what are you working on? You know, like if someone says like, oh, I'm working on Rubik's Cube, it gives me an idea of where their level is. And then even if I do acroyoga with someone who can do really amazing things, we might just start with like, hey, do you want to calibrate? And calibration is part of kind of getting informed about each other. It's like part of establishing consent. We might just do a bird, like we might both have skills to do amazing things, but we might start in bird. Because it gives me a lot of information, like if I base bird and the other person flies, based on how they fly, even something simple as bird, I can pretty quickly tell, oh yeah, if they really know their stuff, or okay, I kind of see. So you want to start with enthusiastic consent, someone really wants to do the activity with you, informed where you agree on what you're doing, and also kind of like know each other a little bit, each other's ability to be informed. Now, I want to get a little bit more into detail about talking about a plan of what to do, because sometimes you might not be able, it might not make sense to talk through everything in detail. Sometimes with friends, we're like, oh, let's just do an exploration, let's just like start and see where it goes. And this might seem very open-ended, but we have kind of, we have like an understanding of how we've done acroyoga before, we know each other, and also there'll be like a continuous negotiation during what we do. We're gonna pick up something we both kind of expect, and then we're gonna have a conversation about like, okay, what about doing this thing next? What about doing this thing next? It's kind of like not an upfront consent, but more kind of like a go along. We're both figuring out what we consent to as the next thing. Another reason why you might not talk about everything in detail actually has to also deal with information. Sometimes I might want to show a friend how to do a new washing machine, and it's a really confusing washing machine, it's really hard to picture. So even if I talk through them through every little step, they couldn't make sense of it in their head, and that's not informed either. So I might give them like a general idea, so they have like a general thing, like, okay, we're gonna kind of do this upside down thing, and there's some general idea. So they can be like, okay, so that sounds good enough, and I might be like, and I'll walk you through step by step. And then usually I don't just force them through things. It would be something like, okay, now we're in side star. The next thing is to go to backfly. And so I give them the information right as we go to the next thing. And the reason is clarity of communication, because they can't picture everything up ahead. So I'm just going to give them enough information for the next thing to consent to. I want to round out this talk with talking about trust. It's like a dynamic that often comes up with beginners. The most typical thing is there'll be a couple, and the person basing will yell at the flyer, "Trust me!" And they usually don't trust the base because they're super shaky. And that's kind of the cue. It's not really about trust and like trusting people blindly. It's more like, if you find yourself yelling at someone else, "Trust me," it's usually feedback for you that you don't have your part down enough that the other person feels comfortable. I've had a student yell at me that I should trust her more. And the thing was, it was very clear. She didn't have the skills. She didn't even know what she was missing. And I don't think you should trust people blindly or ask people to trust you blindly. Just for a final discussion, sometimes it's helpful to tell people, I have actually done this particular skill with probably 100 people by now, and all kinds of different experience levels. It's like I'm sharing information, and the person might find it useful, or they might be like, no, I'm still not comfortable. Trust shouldn't come from demanding it. It gets developed based on, your interactions. I have a friend, he based me. I could feel he had a lot of control with his feet, and that gave me trust. I also observed him being really focused on safety. He would stop things for safety, he thinks about safety. That's trust. Trust comes from, there's actually like a history. I got to observe you. And you shouldn't instantly demand 100% blind trust from people. You should just be, okay, well, we don't know each other that much yet. Let's do some things together so you get to know me and kind of know what to expect from me. Yeah, so just back to consent. You want to start with enthusiastic consent, you want to have informed consent, and trust shouldn't be demanded, but it gets established as your relationship with someone develops. And I've mentioned a lot of nuances and finer points. These finer points shouldn't be used to avoid enthusiastic consent or any of these things. It's more, in reality, things are often not clear-cut, and you need to learn to navigate these things, and I gave you more examples on how to navigate it.